Hey Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Matt Karzith will start at pole position for the second race of 2011, but Chick Hicks would wreck 5 cars, and Kyle Busch-Tire would be out on lap 107 because of an engine failure. Phil Tankson would wreck the Mean Green car on lap 148. Hooray! But unfortunately, Elijah Voltson, Reb Meeker, and Dino Draftski would all go down a lap. And Craig Shiftwright would start complaining to Roger Pancake because of Dino Draftski's bad performances. More bad news, Brick Yardley would be out on lap 295 because of a cut tire, and Mike Yankee Jr. would go down a lap on lap 304. Tony Gassworth led the most laps this race, leading for 248 laps, but Carl Edwards would be the car that wins this race, winning the second race of 2011, with Tony Gassworth finishing second, Lightning McQueen third, Juan Papa Montoya fourth, and Bobby Swift rounding out the top 5. Bill Racelot was the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 31st. Bobby Swift will start at pole position for the third race of 2011, but Chick Hicks would wreck 9 cars! Why? One of those cars was Mark Carton, and on lap 213, Piston Cup fans booed the Mean Green car. Well, he deserves it, and Craig Shiftwright had some mean words to say to the Mean Green car, who is now suspended for 20 races and disqualified from the race. Hooray! And Piston Cup fans cheered when Chick Hicks' suspension was announced. And Kyle Traxon would somehow wreck himself while trying to wreck Phil Tankson. And Phil Tankson said this: "You show him, Phil Tankson!" And Matt Karzith would lead the most laps this race, leading 61 laps, and Matt Karzith would win the third race of 2011. Bobby Swift would finish second this race, Clint Bokar third, Carl Edwards fourth, and Cal Weathers rounding out the top 5. Ken Schrader was the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 32nd this race. Cal Weathers will start at pole position for the fourth race of 2011, where Jack DePost would be out on lap 2 because of an engine failure, and Brian Sparks would be out 18 laps later for the same reason. Samuel Serpentino would be 37th as of lap 23. Wrecks Bogart Hopscotch! Of course he did that. And Kurt Busch-Tire would be 20th as of lap 26. Where he wrecks Samuel Serpentino! Why did you do that? And Chip Gearings would accidentally wreck Rex Revler and himself on lap 83. David Gillicar would be out on lap 174 because of a braking issue. And Kyle Busch-Tire would wreck Clint Bokar on lap 243. David Raycar would be out on lap 249 because he ran out of gas, and Casey Corner would be out 20 laps later because of an engine failure. And Cal Weathers would lap the field from lap 270 to lap 273. And he also led the most laps, including pole, leading for 303 laps in total. And of course, he won the fourth race of 2011, with Lightning McQueen finishing second this race, Tony Gassworth finishing third, Bobby Swift fourth, and Kurt Busch-Tire rounding out the top 5. Ricard Smith was the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 33rd, and Reb Meeker celebrates his lead lap finish. And here are some reactions from other racers. Like the King, who is retired, but he celebrated the fact as well. Same with Mark Carton and Lightning McQueen, celebrating their friend's achievement. And Kyle Traxon said something mean! And he will be suspended for the rest of the season for saying that. Lightning McQueen will start at pole position for the fifth race of 2011, where Trevor Turnrev would be out on lap 5 because of an engine failure. And Danny Kerbin is also out on lap 11 due to an engine failure. Brian Sparks, Bobby Swift, and Lightning McQueen all led the most laps this race, leading 21 laps each. But Bobby Swift will be the winner of this race, with Carl Edwards finishing second, and right behind him, Lightning McQueen finished third, Brian Sparks fourth, and Kevin Carvick rounding out the top 5. Bobby Carboni is the last car to finish on the lead lap this race, finishing 41st. And for those that are wondering how Reb Meeker did, he finished 18th this race. Kevin Harvick will start at pole position for the 6th race of 2011, where Kyle Busch Tire would wreck 10 cars! Why? And Craig Shiftwright had something to say about that. Yeah, you do have a point. And Clint Shiftwright said that his dad should join the RSN booth, an opinion that his younger brother Kenny shares. Speedy Comet would be out on lap 268 because he hit the wall really hard. And Kurt Busch Tire would fail to wreck Phil Tankson on lap 327. And the very next lap, Phil Tankson would fail to wreck Kurt Busch Tire. And Kurt Busch Tire, don't say that word! Why? And also, Bobby Swift would lead the most laps, leading for 123 of them. And Brick Yardley would actually be the winner of the 6th race of 2011, with Bobby Swift finishing 2nd this race, Kevin Harvick 3rd, Cal Weathers 4th, and Brad Keselowski rounding out the top 5. Todd Marcus would be the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 32nd, only 80 feet ahead of leader Brick Yardley. And Carl Edwards will start at pole position for the 7th race of 2011, where Chip Gearings would accidentally cause a crash that wrecks 13 cars on lap 1. And Kurt Busch Tire would wreck Greg People and David Raycar on lap 62. Why, you mean car? And Dale Earnhardt Jr. would be out on lap 99 because of an engine failure. And Mike Yankee Jr. would go airborne and get flipped on lap 116 because of Joey Logano. Why? And Phil Tankson would wreck Joey Logano on lap 256. Hooray! And Kevin Harvick would accidentally wreck Jimmy Cables and Jamie McCarry on lap 317. Bobby Swift would lead the most laps this race, leading for 101 laps. And he would be first as of the final lap. But Lightning McQueen will be the winner of the 7th race of 2011, with Bobby Swift finishing 2nd this race and only losing by 10 feet. Cal Weathers would finish 3rd this race, Carl Edwards 4th, and Phil Tankson rounding out the top 5. TG Castlenut is the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 23rd this race. Jimmy Cables will start at pole position for the 8th race of 2011, where Kyle Busch Tire would wreck 3 cars. Why? Brick Yardley would unfortunately wreck himself out on lap 226. And after that, Todd Marcus, Marcus Kranksler, Landon Carsill, Doug Throttleman, and Todd Lagasse. Why? Chad Motorgas would lead the most laps this race, leading 76 laps. But Lightning McQueen will win the 8th race of 2011 with the mean yellow car. Kyle Busch Tire finishing 2nd, Denny Carlin 3rd, Chad Motorgas 4th, and Cal Weathers rounding out the top 5. And Ronald Klutcher would be the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 34th this race. And Phil Tankson has this to say: I also hope that all 43 cars can finish on the lead lap. And Kyle Busch Tire, mind your own business! Lightning McQueen will start at pole position for the 9th race of 2011, and Jay Corner failed to qualify for this race. Speedy Comet would be out on lap 1 because of an engine failure. And then Cal Weathers would be out because of an engine failure on lap 2. And the very next lap, Brick Hicks would be out because of an engine failure. And Tex Dynaco complained about the engine quality. Of course he did, because his racers were having engine failures. What next? Someone's out. Oh! Jeff Burton! How did you jump over Tommy Highbanks? And Parker Breakston would be out on lap 20 because of a cut tire. And Ricard Smith would be out on lap 25 because he hit the wall really hard. And AJ Carmendinger would accidentally wreck himself and Terry Cargus on lap 59. They didn't deserve this, and there were no position changes for 10 laps! Who is in the lead during that time? None other than Lightning McQueen, of course. Jamie McCarry, Chip Gearings, Mark Carton, Kyle Bushtire, and Ryan Newcar would all be out as a result of an engine failure at some point during the race. Kevin Karvik would lead the most laps during this race, leading 167 laps, and he would go on to win the 9th race of the 2011 Piston Cup season, with Todd Marcus finishing 2nd, Maury Clutchburn 3rd, David Raycar 4th, and James Garrison rounding out the top 5. And Floyd Mulvihill will be the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 33rd. Lightning McQueen will start at pole position for the 10th race of 2011, where AJ Carmendinger is out on lap 1. And Kyle Bushtire, don't make fun of other cars! And Craig Shiftwright is just commenting that Kyle Bushtire is immature. And Parker Breakston would go airborne on lap 47 because of Joey Logano. Why? And Casey Corner would be out on lap 107 because of an engine failure. What? He's back on the track on lap 108 with a working engine. And then his engine blows again and he's back out on lap 109. Why did this happen? And Mark Burnsley is in the lead on the final lap. And Kyle Bushtire is 2nd as of the final lap. And then he wrecks Mark Burnsley. Why? And Doug Throttleman would go down a lap. How? It's the final lap. And Samuel Serpentino and Bogart Hopscotch wreck each other out on the final lap. Now, which car led the most laps? Carl Edwards led the most laps, leading 85 of them. And Matt Karzith would lead just 1 lap. And guess who wins? Of course, it's Matt Karzith winning the 10th race of 2011. With Kyle Bushtire finishing 2nd, Tony Gasworth finishing 3rd, Bobby Swift finishing 4th, and Speedy Comet somehow rounding out the top 5, and Rex Revler is the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 36th this race. Carl Edwards will start at pole position for the 11th race of 2011, where Chip Gearings and Tommy Highbanks would accidentally wreck each other on lap 36. They didn't deserve this, and Shane Geargas is out on lap 72 because of an engine failure. And Joey Logano, don't make fun of other cars! And Bogart Hopscotch wrecks Samuel Serpentino on lap 97. Of course he did that. And Joey Logano would wreck Bogart Hopscotch on lap 127. Kyle Bushtire is 3rd as of lap 336. Well, he wrecks Maury Clutchburn. Why? And then Kurt Bushtire would wreck Casey Gears and Brian Vickers. Why? Clint Bokar would be out on lap 356 because of an engine failure. And in the following pit cycle, Speedy Comet would go down 3 laps due to a long pit stop. Kyle Bushtire led the most laps this race, leading for 153 laps, and he would go on to win the 11th race of the 2011 Piston Cup season, with Carl Edwards finishing 2nd this race, Lightning McQueen 3rd, Matt Karzith 4th, and Cal Weathers rounding out the top 5. Denny Carlin would be the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 33rd this race. Lightning McQueen will once again start at pole position for the 12th race of 2011, where Ernie Gearson would get flipped on lap 199 because of Kurt Bushtire. Why? And Ernie Gearson had this to say to Kurt Bushtire. And Craig Shiftwright, who, believe it or not, used to be Ernie Gearson's teammate, had this to say. Phil Tankson would be out on lap 206 because of an engine failure. In the following pit cycle, Rex Revler, Joe Brakecheck, James Garrison, Paul Racedraft, Dirksen de Agostino, Rev Rodages, Buck Beeringly, Chad Motorgas, Bobby Carboni, Mika Powell, Todd Marcus, and Lucas Nitro would all go down a lap. Why? And Ralph Carlo would wreck out on lap 315. He didn't deserve this, and Joey Logano was the one that wrecked Ralph Carlo. Bobby Carboni and Joe Brakecheck would go another lap down, and Juan Pablo Montoya would also be a lap down after this crash. And Bobby Swift would lead the most laps, leading for 97 of them. Kevin Harvick led the second most laps, leading for 95, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. took the white flag. You're probably wondering, who wins the race? Kevin Harvick wins the race, winning the 12th race of the 2011 Piston Cup season. Bobby Swift would finish second this race, and he only lost by 18 inches! And here was a picture of that photo finish. Carl Edwards would finish third this race, Cal Weathers would finish fourth, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. would round out the top five. For those who were wondering, Lightning McQueen finished 16th this race, and Jack DePost was the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 27th this race. And here is the top 20 in points after 1/3 of the season has gone. Carl Edwards leads with just one win, with Bobby Swift and Cal Weathers just behind him. Kevin Harvick and Lightning McQueen round out the top 5 in points. Clint Bowcar is currently 10th in points, and the final two are Phil Tankson and Mike Yankee Jr.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
Sorry for the long wait for this video. It's much harder to make a video off of an iPhone than an iPad, like I had before. But the next part of the 2011 Piston Cup season will hopefully be coming out soon enough. And also, comment down below who you think will be leading in points at the end of the next video. Hopefully, the end of the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine happens before I release my next video. Unfortunately, this war has been going on for over 1 year now. The Ukrainian people don't want to live in the war zone. They just want to live in peace and have freedom. But someone gets in the way of this common dream. The tyrant, Vladimir Putin, who over a year ago ordered Russian soldiers to invade Ukraine. Vladimir Putin, why would you need to do this? You already have enough land of your own. Did you forget that Russia is the biggest country in the world? And Vladimir Putin, if you were expecting an easy victory, Ukraine is not giving up. We here at the hashtag KABullets YouTube channel stand firmly with Ukraine and pray for a victory to come Ukraine's way very soon. We also recognize the internationally recognized borders of Ukraine, which include Crimea, Kherson, and Zaporizhia oblasts, as well as the Donbass and all the other territory that Russia occupies. Slava Ukrainie! Heroyam slava! Nechai shvitye darytsye Ukrainie peremoha! Glory to Ukraine! Glory to the heroes! May Ukraine be granted victory very soon.